G'day folks, welcome back to Thommo's Tin Shed, another episode. We're going to take you from this sparse bit of gear to this. That's right folks, there's a fair bit in this little car and this is what we're doing on this episode. We're going to go through the how-tos, how to do a template, how to transfer that onto material, how to do some bead rolling, put some factory looking relief into it, a bit of English wheeling to get some shaping internal of the cab, and we're going to completely change out the cab. We're going to use the Cleco system to show you how to set all your plates in place while you do your spot welding. So there's a lot going on, but this one's an informative little one and this is a major part of the interior of the cab. So let's get on with the episode. Don't forget, hit like, subscribe, hit the notifications, and I'll show you exactly how we did this right now. G'day folks, I'm Thommo. Hey, you're there, I'm here, I'm doing stuff, you're watching, perfect. Okay folks, we're back in the shed and we are back into this Jack Nelson Ballot, as I've said it. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to do a simple floor panel section. Now there's a few to do in this, but I'm just going to show you one. That way you get an idea of what's going on. I've got a little piece in there already, this little intermediate piece, and I've just done a little step relief so that this is nice and flush. Because the sheet we're doing is going to go all the way around this perimeter section through here. So we're going to make a template. We're going to mark up where this relief is because I want to do a step relief using the bead roller. I'm going to show you how we do that with a bead roller. And then we'll get this thing ready, Cleco it in, and then we're going to do this fill section through here. So we can't do that until this is in place because that will actually flush up around the bottom corner of here, as I'll show you later. So there's a little bit of templating working going on, and then we've got the rear firewall which will go through here. That'll be the last thing. These two in particular are going to give you a good indicator of what you need to do. Now, I'm not using fancy mega dollar expensive equipment. I'm using entry-level metalworking skill components. I've got a modified bead roller from the Eastwood company, and I've got an entry-level English wheel from Hare and Forbes, which was part of the Metal Master series. So just give you an idea that you can make a car like this look good and look factory with just a few key tools on the shed. And so that's what we're going to do when you get on now. Let's get some template material and get this underway. Okay, so there's no real complicated form for doing templating. You basically have to take a piece of cardboard. I use a fairly thick straw board, and you just have to make the shape that you want to create out of steel with cardboard. So in this case, so now I've got that laid up where I want it, just right on the edge, probably about 1/8 of an inch, just on the edge of the radius of the round. It's flushed up with my panel through here and it fits right in the corner. From the outside edge of this to my cut line, I'm going to put 1/4 inch. So then I can just put some nice little tacks on top of it and seal out the side panel. So I'm just going to do that right now. There's a 1/4 there, 1/4 there, and clever. Now try to be as accurate as you can. With the arts and crafts, the more accurate you are, the better the panel comes out. So if you're a bit rough and ready, that's what your panel's going to look like. So take that extra 5 minutes, use a finer line, make sure your template material is absolutely on point, and you'll get a better product for it at the end of it all. Using the square, make sure that is there's the excess. Now I hang on to these pieces because they're really good for doing engine bay brackets and all the small bracketries. It's really good. So anything around this size I hang on to. Always good for a rainy day. Or in this case, being in West Australia, a nice sunny day. So I'm just going to quickly take that excess material off. Just like that wind. Okay, arts and crafts are done. As you can see, we've made a template of exactly how we want the floor pan to do. we are going to transfer this through, and I've got the wife coming down now to tell me all about her wonderful things. She's no, she's not. She's going on the step ladder. She's cleaning the truck. So we take the template and we create the steel panel out of it. Now that's all been flushed up, fitting in there exactly off the template. All the clearances are where I want it to be. Now what we have to do is work out where our bead roll is going to go. And this is based off where this where these frames are. Because we're just going to do a bead relief inside that quadrant. So first we do is make sure that we have it exactly where we want it to be. So, here. Don't you hate when you put something down and you don't know where you put it? And I just had it. And now I can't find it. That's life in the shed, folks. If you've ever done any time in the shed, you know that putting things down and then not being able to find them again, it's either workshop blindness or I'm just geriatric. Either way, I need that bit of material. So this line through here is our subframe. And this line here is a 2-inch mark. We've just made that 2 inches off the edge and it goes all the way around. So what we have is this profile for our bead roll, but you can't do sharp corners on a bead roll, so what we need is a nice radius, and I quite like using masking tape. Gives you about a 3 to 4 inch radius. So here's a tech tip for you guys. If you buy these Harbor Freight style bead rollers, they're out of the box. Look, they do the job, but they're a bit sharp and they actually mark up your material pretty badly. So my suggestion is, if you get one of these Harbor Freight style ones, get your linear belt, get your wire wheel, and just take the nuts, the sharpness, take the edge off it, just soften them up a bit. Makes 100% difference to your material when you come off. If you don't, you're going to have these track lines all around your bead rolling, and it's well, it's not okay. So I'm just going to drop these on now. These are the 3/16, and we'll get some bead rolling done. So that's what we're going to bead roll. Nice little piece of section. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to step that down. We're going to actually sink it down into the floor area. So what we do is we set in there. Now, as a rule of thumb, I always start in the middle of a straight. It means that when you come back to it, you've got more of a chance of lining up and matching it neatly. If you start in a corner, you don't always meet up as you come around. It looks messy. So my only suggestion to you is start in the middle of a straight and finish in the middle of a straight. That gives you the best product. So what I also do now is I'll let it fall down and I bring my tensioning device down until it just touches now, so just firm away. The more turns you put into that, the deeper the press. So what you don't want to do is go too crazy with the press. In this case, I've done some test panels, and what I've got is one full turn gives me about 3/16 drop, and that just is enough. So for every single piece of bead rolling I'll be doing on the floor pan from this point forward, it will all be just one full turn, so that you get a consistency across all your presses. And if you're doing something like this, you've got to make sure that you find that consistency. Then it looks more factory and less homemade. That's the key. So we've got touchdown now. That's one full turn. Now, folks, it's giddy up. We've now put a very simple little bead relief, just a real subtle one. We don't want too much. It's only a floor pan, but we want to take the tension and the bounce out of the room. So now what we do is literally wind that off, lift that up. Now it's a bit hard to see, but what we have is 3/16 step down radius. I'll get some contact cleaner, we'll just take that off, and we'll set it back in the car and I'll show you how it looks in the car. And there you have it, folks, there is the bead rolling. We've got just a nice little simple step relief. Remember, puts tension in the skin. By the time this is spot welded down, that'll take any deflection out of the main skin. And just gives it a factory look, that little pressed look that you look for in a car. So all we have to do now though is we just have to do a series of drill holes. So we're going to do some 3/16 holes for spot welding, but I'm just going to run a couple of clecos in here for now to hold the skin in place so that we can move on to this section through here. Now this little corner infill is going to need some English wheel work. We're going to need to create a template, transfer it to the material, and then we have to run it through the English wheel to get it to roll into the shape, and then we can trim it in place. Once that's done, and we can cleco that in place, then we're into the main fill. So I'll quickly do this, cleco it in, and we'll start in on this part here. You've probably watched a lot of shows, a lot of this bodywork, they use these clecos. These are little temporary rivets that we use, come from the aviation industry. But I especially like them because it gives you an opportunity to set everything in place before you actually have to spot weld. So if you need to make minor changes, it gives you that opportunity, and they're pretty straightforward. These aren't top line, these are just eBay specials, but what they do is hold everything where you want it to be, so you get a really good idea where it should be. Reach at the top here. So what's happened now is we've got this panel sitting right where we want it to be, and you can really see that depression. But what we need to do now is fill in this corner piece. Now again, template time. So what we want to do is we want this to form this natural curve. Now on the top of this I put a 6-inch radius, and on the bottom of this it's a bit tighter, something more like a 4 or a 5. So you just want to let that material naturally form. What you're going to do is you're going to mark on the back with the old permanent marker. And you just want to try to hold that in there and mark just around where you know you want it to go. So we're just going to take this off. So that is the shape. So that's around this top perimeter, down the side, and then down to the bottom. So this is pretty much what we want to shape up. Now when you do templating, especially when you're going to cut material out and start forming material, you want to give yourself a little bit of extra. We know that this edge is where we edge is the one we want to start with, but coming this way you want to make sure that you've got a bit up your sleeve. So I always suggest to give yourself about an inch or a mile. Now, trim it in. We're going to put it exactly back. Take the time to just check it and make sure it's right, guys. There's no hurry. In my case there is, because Perco's coming in hot, but what we're going to do is we're going to drop this in here. We're going to push it back and make sure that we've got it fitting. And now look, it fits pretty good. And that gives me about 3/4 inch all the way around. I'm transferring this now onto steel, and then we're going to have to put the rubber wheel onto the English wheel, and I reckon we'll probably need about a 6-inch radius to start with, and we're going to roll this out and get this basic shape. But you may notice it's a full radius through here, but she's pretty flat down here. She doesn't start radiusing until about 4 inches in. So what we do out of the template is we always mark that flat section. Just put an arrow. This is effectively when we English wheel this, we're going to be English wheeling all this, but we're not going to wheel this part here because we want that to remain flat to follow that flat profile. So I'm going to quickly change this over, get this onto some steel, and then we'll move to the English wheel bench and we'll show you how we bend this up. Alright, let's have a quick look, shall we? Now I've made a start on it. As you can see, it's got a bit of curve in it now. That's just working the English wheel with a 4-inch die to try and get it to turn in a bit quicker. So when we pull it up against that, it's starting to get that form. We want to fill that corner out, but it still needs to come around more through here. It's not far off here, probably about ½ an inch off up the top there. So we're just going to keep working through this section and get it to turn a bit more, and I might just have to trim this down through here to get it to sit down on that sheet. But as you can see, it's come along. Okay, a bit more work on the English wheel, and you can see, or maybe you can see, we've actually got a bit more turn in that now. It happens pretty quick, you're not watching it. So we're just going to drop this in loosely in here, get a bit of a feel for it. And you know, that's pretty good. I think I'll run a couple of clecos, I'll run 3 clecos up through here, then we can pull that back, do a final mark and trim, and this one's ready to weld in. Pretty good. So we got a fair bit done today. This is the stuff I've been looking forward to. So we've managed to do the interim midfill, which has a 1/8 step so that metal will be flush. We've used a template to create the cut for our steel. We then go on and mark that up, and we've used the bead roller to do a step relief into that. We've been able to cleco that in place so we could do the end fill. The end fill is now flushed up, looking pretty nice and fitting that curve really nicely. Bit of English wheel work there. So all I've got left on this one is a little slight trim, bit of excess material I want to take off, and then we're going to clamp it and drill some holes and spot weld it directly to that rod frame. It's going to become an integral part of the framework. And then what I am going to do is the little piece on top, which will be about a 1/4 inch proud of the top of the bar, I'm actually going to just hand roll that over with a wooden mallet just to give it a nice rolled finish, and then I can weld that. I may even use silica bronze or something like that just to fill that edge. We'll see how we go. But in the meantime, I think it's beer o'clock. I'm going to come back out later, do this front floor pan. Now I'm going to do this tonight. It's rinse and repeat of what we've already done here. I'm not going to show you every panel, but when we hit the ground running tomorrow morning, there'll be a full floor pan through here. We'll be looking to do the other floor pan, the other corner fill. Once that's done, then we can do the final infill at the back of the cab. Now the driver's side front floor is not getting fabbed at the moment. I need access to do the brake master cylinder and all the brake linkage assembly, so there's no point in me trying to put anything in there at this stage. That'll come later. And I may even make that a removable panel so I can get in there to do the brake master. But in the meantime, it's beer o'clock. And we'll see you guys in the morning. Start of another day here at Thommo's Tin Shed. Now, as I said, I was going to come out and complete the front section, so now the passenger side is all sheeted out ready for welding. I've got a little bit of a minor trim on this thing here to do, but we'll do that literally as we go. Windy day here in Perth, so don't mind the leaves rattling on my tin shed. So I'm going to complete the driver's side floor pans. I'm not going to worry about going through the whole episode showing you how to do that. It's simply a rinse and repeat of what we did on these ones here. So we'll get a bit of time lapse on it, capture a little bit of that stuff there. But when we get to the point where both sides are done, we'll come back to do this final firewall in the cabin area here, and that will sort of wrap us up, I think, to what we need to do. So enough talking. I need to get some sheet steel off the wall and get my templates right and then get into it. So let's charge on. We'll get back to this when all this is done. Righto folks, all the floor pans are now done. Fabrication on them is finished. Even the driver's side one, which you can't see, it's right over there, that's made to be removable. We're going to put some nut certs in there at a later date. For now they're just clicquoed in so I know exactly where it is. That one isn't getting welded, but the rest of these will be. That's coming up shortly, but we just have one more panel to finish, which is this one through here. Now this is the rear firewall. Pretty straight one, doesn't even need a template. We're literally going to measure an inch past that edge on both sides, an inch past the top. It's a pretty rudimentary square piece of metal, and then what we're going to do is going to measure in 4 inches, and we'll do a same step relief like we've done here. We're going to do in the back panel, just give it a bit of shape and a bit of definition. Once that's done, we're welding up. We're going to weld all these spot welds in. There's a little trick to do that before you start the welding. You need to use weldable primer between the two surfaces. I'll go through that step by step. But in the meantime, let's hop into this. I'll quickly do this on time lapse. You'll see me knock it up very quickly, and then we'll get it clicquoed back in, ready for welding. Well folks, that was a bit of a haul, but we are where we need to be right now. We have got all of the interior panels to where we want to be in this episode, and we've just finalised this last firewall section through here. I went a little bit crazy and put a relief step in here, plus the relief we were going to do, just to give it that sort of factory finish, that factory seam. What comes next is the welding. We're going to run around and spot weld all of these holes that you see before you. I've gone and re-drilled them all in through here. All of them through here. These are all going to be weld points to weld the skin directly to the subfloor. Now you can just go and weld them on, and plenty of people do, but here's a tech tip for you. I don't know if you're into my tech tips, but this one's a cracker, and this one's important. You probably noticed this little product sitting right here. This is weldable primer. So this is a primer that you can spray down on your weld pattern, and you can do all your welding and it doesn't burn and catch a light and go terrible. It's designed specifically to go in between or next to your weld surfaces. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of these panels off. We're going to turn them upside down, and where they make contact with the subfloor, we're going to put a coat of this. And then on top of the subfloor section itself, we're going to put a coat of this as well. So we coat both surfaces that are made together. Now this is my fave. It's a U-Pole product. I'm not sponsored by U-Pole, but I use the U-Pole a lot in 2-packs, primers and so on and so forth. This stuff here in particular is a cracking good product. This is the copper style that comes in 3 colours, comes in black, grey and copper, but I find the copper gives a really good base substrate on both sides to weld to, and it just coats very quickly and very easily. So I'm going to show you how we do it and why we do it, and then once we've done that, I will start spot welding all these holes up. Now I'm just going to put the spot welding process into time lapse, because at the end of the day it's just a guy with a MIG welder filling holes. But if anyone's interested in to know a little bit more about the process, leave a comment below, and I can do a short video just to show up close and personal what we do with the spot weld. So if you're curious and you want to know, by all means leave a comment below, and I can show you that in more detail. But for this one we need to keep moving, so I'm just going to set the camera up and go to work. And in the meantime, I'm going to stop talking and start painting.
So all the tin is all ready to go, and the copper coating is all dry now. And you can see I've just done just where the subfloor is going to touch, or where the double skin's going to be. It's that little intermediate piece, so it's just literally where the sub is. So they're all ready to go. Let's have a quick look at the framework and then we'll get into the welding. So you can see here, folks, we've got the copper coating sitting on top of the subframe. Now I'm not going to be able to get to that bracket later, so we give it a nice thick coating there. That'll solve that up for now. And then you can see we've come along across there, through the centre, all the way over to the other side, and up over the back frame. So let's get into welding.
There it have it, folks. That's another one done and dusted. But we're getting there. We're starting to go places. Things are starting to happen. We've got all the primary floor pan and the back wall done. Got a little panel to do at the back, which we'll do in the next episode. But we're also going to be moving forward. We're going to continue on the body for now. On the next episode, we're going to be looking at doing the radiator cowl, the bonnet assembly, and the front firewall portion of the bodywork. So we need to get all that done first before we can final skin it. That's coming up. So there's a lot going on, but we're still picking away. So that's the main thing. So hang around, see us on the next episode. I'll get that up as soon as I can, but don't forget, hit like, subscribe, hit those notifications, and we'll continue to bring you episode after episode, and you'll be able to see this thing slowly but surely evolve. But we'll probably have to pick up the pace a bit, because Red Dust Revival is coming here red hot, folks. That's okay. We've got all that we need here. We just need to put the shoulder to the wheel and get it done. So in the meantime, thanks for watching. Hit like, subscribe, hit those notifications, and we'll see you on another episode of Thommo's Tin Shed real soon. In the meantime, stay cool, stay safe, and we'll see you around.